So there was this guy out front. I know a lot of you guys probably heard this story a fucking million times, but whatever. A lot of people haven't heard it, and it ties into the whole Wrestlemania somehow. So there was a guy out front would always sell these wrestling pictures outside of Madison Square Garden. You know, he was a photographer, and like he had, he'd be in the front row at all the matches taking pictures, and then he would sell them for like $1 a piece. So every time we would go to the match, we pretty much go like every month. We'd go look for him because he's always in the same spot to see whatever new pictures he had. Because the guy would travel all around the tri-state area to different matches and take pictures. There was no internet back then. There was nothing. You get like a wrestling magazine like once a month delivered to your house or whatever, and that was it. So you didn't really know what was going on. You couldn't just look at pictures on the internet. Like, who would buy pictures now? For what reason? But back then you did. So I would just, had a nice scrapbook, and then I'd bring it into school and show everybody, and all the kids would be jealous. Like, yeah, look at this picture of fucking superstar Billy Graham. He was my favorite wrestler back then. I always liked the bad guys. And my dad would take some kids from the neighborhood with us, too, to the matches. And I think the parents would take turns, like 1 month, another parent, like a dad would take us. So there was like a bunch, like, 4 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, something like that, going to the matches, and we'd run right to this guy every time because they're always looking for the next new picture. So then the guy decided, it's like, hey, man, why don't you give me your phone number and I could call you. I could tell you who won these matches because, you didn't know, they wrestle at Madison Square Garden, but like, 3 nights later, they'd be at the Nassau Coliseum or they'd be down in Baltimore at a match, and you wouldn't know who won the matches. There was no way to look that up. You had no idea what went on there. So he's like, I'll tell you who won the matches because, like, superstar Billy Graham would be defending his belt against, like, Ivan Putski 3 nights later, and you would never hear about that match unless you were there. And there was no results in the paper the next day, none of that shit. So we decided, yeah, no problem. So we gave him our numbers, and then he would call, and he'd be like, oh, yeah, so this match happened, and this happened, and this and that. I'm like, wow, this fucking guy's cool. And then he's like, well, give me your address. I'll send you some free pictures. If I got some extra pictures, I'll send them to you. So like, wow, this fucking guy's nice. Meanwhile, he was like 38, 39 years old, fat, big fat guy with a bad mustache. If you see my show, A Simple Man, my one-man show, I found a picture of him on a fucking sex offender's website because he wound up getting busted years later. And you'll see a picture of what he looks like. He's living in Thailand now. That's a pretty fucking safe spot. That's a pretty good spot for a fucking pedophile, right? So then he would start sending us shit in the mail, like pictures in the mail and stuff like that. All the kids in the neighborhood were like, oh, this guy's the fucking coolest. This guy's great, So we'd see him every month, no big deal. Then he decided to say, hey, man, why can't I come to New Jersey and stay at your house for a weekend? Well, no, wait, even before this. So there was a match in Asbury Park in Convention Hall. So our parents were, I guess, 14 or 15, let us take the train down there. With no supervision. They didn't come to see us. They didn't come with us, and we went to the match. Now, we had like nosebleed seats. We were all the way up top. He's sitting in the front row. He knows we're there. So he comes up in between a match, and there's like 4 of us. He goes, hey, I got 2 empty seats down in the front row. 2 of you guys want to come down there? We're like, yeah. And he picked me, and he picked my friend Mike. Now, we were both kids with blonde hair and blue eyes. I looked like a young Brad Pitt, and he looked like fucking, like a surfer dude, like Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters, the drummer. So he picks us 2 to go down there. So we're all excited, like, holy shit, we're going to be in the front row. So we get down to the seats, and he sits down at one of them, and there's only one other seat. I'm like, well, what's going on here? I thought that you said there was 2 seats. He goes, no. He goes, I only have one. He goes, somebody's got to sit on my lap. And now we're 14 years old at this time. It might have been 14 or 15. And I'm like, what? I go, you didn't tell us that. He goes, yeah, well, somebody's got to sit on my lap. I only have one seat. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. I'm not sitting in your lap. My friend Mike's like, I'm not sitting in your lap either. And then all of a sudden, like, they always had like 5 minutes in between the matches, between the last guys to leave, go back to the locker room, and then the new guys come out. So this is all going on when there's no match going on. It's just fucking, everyone's just hanging. All of a sudden, the bell rings, and Andre the Giant's starting to come out. And he's fucking walking to the ring, and he's like a fucking 3 feet from me. And I'm like, holy shit, because I've never been up that close. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the scene. I'm like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take first shift. So I sat on his lap. I was 15 years old, and I sat on a grown man's lap because I saw Andre the Giant up that close. I'm like, I've never up that close before. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. He knew to lure us down there probably in between that match. Like, oh, they definitely want to see Andre. So Mike takes the MC seat. I sit on his lap. Now, he's holding me like we're riding a motorcycle, and he's behind me, if you could picture that. I'm driving the motorcycle, and he's holding me around my waist. I'm like, this is fucking weird, but I think Andre was fighting like, I don't even remember who he was fighting, but I was like, damn, this is fucking, I'll deal with it. Maybe it was like Georgie Animal Steel or something like that. So about 5 minutes into the match, I'm trying to block it out. I'm like, I'm fucking just focusing on the match. I'm all excited. He nibbles on my ear. I feel this nibble on my ear. And I fucking look back and go, what the fuck was that? He goes, oh, sorry. I didn't mean it. I go, what the fuck was that? Because I was just looking that way. I didn't know. And I'm like, what do you mean? I go, that's fucking... The guy like bit and kind of licked my ear while the match was going on as he's holding me around my waist. So I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. I go, and instead of going back to my seat, I go, Mike, it's your turn. Fuck you. Now you get on his lap. Like I should have told I should have told my friend Mike, let's go back up there. This guy's a fucking creep. Instead, I wanted to watch the rest of the match. And I decided, Mike, you get on his lap now. I fucking dealt with him nibbling on my ear. Now it's your turn. So now he gets on his lap. I'm not even looking. I'm just looking straight ahead. I'm like, that's fucking weird, but I'm in the front row, and Andre is 3 feet from me, so fuck it. After the match, we go back up. I'm like, that's fucking weird. We're talking about on the way home. That's strange. Yeah, let's not tell our parents. Who knows? I don't know what. I can't remember if he did anything to Mike. So that was the first sign that this guy was a fucking creep. And then I remember like a week later, he's called my house to give me the results of the match that he went to, probably at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island or something like that. And he's breathing heavy on the phone as he's talking to me. And I'm 14, 15, so my voice is starting to change, and it's starting to be really deep. So I know the guy had his pants around his ankles. I had no idea. I'm like, what are you doing? Are you busy or something like that? Were you just out exercising? He's like, no, I don't know. No. I go, because you're breathing really heavy. The guy was fucking jerking off on the other line. You know what I mean? I was too naive at the time to realize what was going on. But as as he's like, yeah, it was Andre, and then superstar Billy Graham threw him out of the ring. I'm like, really? Oh my God, he threw him out. Did he get hurt? He's like, and I'm like, well, what's going on over there? I was jerking off to my voice. But I did find out the result. And then I went back in school the next day and told everybody. So, was it worth it? I don't know. So a few weeks later, we go to Madison Square Garden, and I just remember, like, he got us, like, backstage, like in a hallway or something like that. He goes, come back here. We met him over there. I don't know where my dad was or whoever took us there. I don't remember. It was just me and my friend Mike, same two that were in the front row with him. A month later, he brings us in this little hallway, and he's like, oh, man, look at these pictures I got. Look at this. And he opens up his photo album. I'm like, holy shit. He had like, Hulk Hogan bleeding. I think Hulk Hogan was just starting again in the WWE, or maybe it was somebody was bleeding. It was a rare picture. Probably Hulk Hogan or something like that. And pictures I never seen. He just recently took them. And I'm like, oh, man. He goes, you want this picture? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. He goes, okay, well, give me a kiss on the cheek then. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, give me a kiss on the cheek and I'll give you the picture. I'm like, why? He goes, well, what's the big deal? I haven't seen you in a while. I'm like, okay, so why do I have to kiss you? He goes, that's what Italian men do all the time. They kiss each other on each cheek. I'm Italian. You're part Italian. Just give me a kiss and I'll give you the picture. I'm like, this is fucking weird. But it was a good picture and nobody else had this. But I go, wait a minute. If I'm going to give you a kiss on both cheeks, you got to give me 2 pictures. So at least I fucking negotiated a good deal. So I think I got like fucking Ivan Koloff with the belt, which he didn't have for long, which was a rare one, and Hulk Hogan bleeding. And I gave him a kiss on both sides of his cheek. And he was like fucking fat and sweaty and had stubble. Wasn't a proud moment in my life. But if you would have saw those pictures, and I still have them, and I put them in my one-man show, you would understand. I mean, I wasn't getting laid anywhere. It wasn't like I had a girlfriend. And I just like, all right. I mean, because I saw my dad would do that to some of his Italian friends. They'd greet and they'd kiss each other on the cheek. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's just what you do. But when it was coming from him, I'm like, nah, that's kind of crossing the line, don't you think? I mean, you think a fucking 15-year-old would know that? At 7, you should know that. I was 15 and I was still clueless. So then he decides to, and he became friends with my dad and the other dads that would take us. Like we'd always go over to him, we'd talk to him and all this shit. So he decided to ask my dad if he can come over and sleep over for the weekend at my house. Because all the other kids in the neighborhood, there was like 4 or 5 other kids in the neighborhood that were friends with him too, that we knew, that would come to all the matches. So he knew a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, my neighborhood that I grew up in. And my dad thought that was weird. It's like, why does a 39-year-old man want to hang out with a bunch of fucking 15-year-olds? You know, this is back in the day where you didn't, this is what priests were fucking touching kids. And then, they would disappear. And then, oh, yeah, no, he got transferred to another parish. Everybody just let that stuff slide. Everyone just kind of looked the other way and didn't think that was going on. So you didn't think that. But my dad thought it was a little weird. He goes, I don't know about this. And my mom wasn't sure either. And I remember they said, you know what? Let him come down for dinner one night with all the other parents in the neighborhood of these kids, and let's screen him, let's vet him to make sure he's okay. And I remember him sitting at the table with all the parents. They all came over at a big fucking table at my house, and they had dinner, and they okayed it. They go, you know what, this guy seems like he's all right. So I guess probably like 2-3 weeks later, he takes the bus from New York City to New Jersey, and I remember I guess maybe my dad picked him up at the bus stop, but he came in at like 2 a.m. It was like a Friday night. And my dad drives him to the house and he gets there, he goes, hey, can I go wake up Jim and tell him I'm here? He goes, no, he's sleeping. You'll see him in the morning. He goes, okay. He goes, just go in the guest room. So he goes in the guest room. I wake up at like 8:15 in the morning. And I have like pajama bottoms on, with the little hole in the front. Where your mule is. I wake up and he's got his hand down my pants. And he's got his and I wake up, I go, what the fuck? And he has his thumb going through the hole, like my dick hanging out. He goes, I'm showing you a trick. It's a magic trick. I'm like, a magic trick? The fuck are you talking? He goes, yeah, it's a trick. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. And then he starts using his fingers to go up my chest because I think I didn't have a shirt on. So he's like walking up my chest with his fingers. And I got up, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He goes, no, I was just, came in the room to say hi and I want to show you a trick. What kind of magic trick is that? He brushed up against my helmet. I don't think he grabbed it that much. I know he did touch it. But thank God I woke up in time and caught him. And my first instinct was, okay, I've had enough of this fucking guy. I ran to the door to go tell my older brothers, who were suspicious of him to begin with. And he blocked the door. And I go, I'm going to tell my brothers. He goes, no, don't. He goes, look, I will give you, I don't know if it was 30 or 50 pictures in my scrapbook. Look at these pictures if you don't say a word. I'm like, how many? He's like, 30. Let's say the number was 30. It might have been 50. I can't remember. And he starts flicking through the pages, and I'm like, whoa, look at these. Look, what a scrapbook I'll have that I can bring into school and show off. I had nothing else. I didn't have a girlfriend. You know, I was probably showing up in a fucking Iron Maiden t-shirt. No chicks were into me, so I'm like, well, at least I'll get the guys on my side when they see my fucking wrestling scrapbook. So I sat there and I picked out every fucking picture, one by one, knowing it was wrong. But I'm like, whatever. As soon as I got my pictures, he looked the other way, or he walked the other way. I fucking ran out of the room, told my two older brothers. Of course, I made sure I got the pictures first. I'm a fucking professional. I wasn't that dumb at 14 or 15. I'm getting something out of it. So this guy's going to have his hand down my pants, tell me he showed me a magic trick. I kissed him on the cheek, on both fucking cheeks. I sat on his lap. He fucking licked my ear. I'm getting some goddamn pictures out of it. So I told them what they did, and they go, all right, you got to go tell Dad. Go tell him, and we're going to fucking go get this guy out of the house and bring him back to the bus station and fucking throw him back on a bus to New York. And I'm like, I'm not telling Dad because Dad's going to make me take the picture, give the pictures back. Because that's what he did. And I'm like, in a fucking weird way, I'm like, I earned these pictures. You know what I mean? I did all that shit. I'm not fucking giving them back because I know my dad would definitely do that. So I go, no, don't even tell him. I want these pictures. He grabbed my helmet. I'm getting fucking a picture of Killer Kowalski. That's the way it's going down. So I remember my brother's fucking dragging him out of the bedroom. He was holding on to the door. I don't know where my parents were at the time. And dragging him out of the house, throwing him in the car. And their friend Kenny was with him. This guy was fucking wild. He was fucking crazy. And he didn't like the guy either. And they brought him back to the bus station. They dropped him off where they get the bus. And there was like I guess there was like a fucking drugstore. And it was early in the morning. It was like 7 in the morning. So I don't even think the place was open. They had the stacks of newspapers. You know, like they used to put stacks of newspapers outside the business. And they get there first thing in the morning. They open them up and they put them out, whatever. So the stacks were delivered there and they were just hanging out there. And my brother said that they fucking tossed the guy out of the car and just started beating the shit out of him and fucking hitting him over the head with fucking stacks of newspapers. And the bus pulled up and they fucking just threw him on the bus. And he was on his way. And I don't remember what happened after that, like why we told our parents he was gone or something like that. But I remember a few weeks later, there was another neighborhood, you know, like a couple miles from us that I went to school with those kids too, and they would go to the matches, and they knew him. And like 2 weeks later, he was going to their house. He wanted to pull the same thing. He was going to go to the neighborhood, hang out with the kids. And I remember I was over to one of the kids' house, and he called them up. The guy fucking called. His name was Barry. He called them up, one of the kids up, and I got on the phone on the other line. I go, you're a fucking homo. You're a fucking queer. And I was telling this kid, Monty, his name was. I go, Monty, don't let him come to the neighborhood. He's going to try to grab you. Grab my dick. He fucking made me sit on his lap. And the guy's like, fuck you. You're a liar. I go, no, you're a fucking bullshitter. You're a queer. You fucking homo. I go, don't. And I went and told Monty's parents. I remember because they were like on my Little League team. And I knew that. I knew the dad. He was my coach. And I'm like, this guy fucking did all this shit. And then we never heard from the guy again.